Hello everyone. I'm gonna talk about the jinn and the human sickness, remedies in the light of the Quran and Sunnah, part 4. Kinds of sickness and harm caused by the jinn. The jinn may cause many different types of sickness and harm to humans, affecting their psychology, moods, body, wealth, possessions, business, relations with others, or studies. The sickness that we are going to discuss may happen either because of the human being overpowered by the jinn, or because of witchcraft. We will discuss the remedies for the sickness in the light of the Quran and Sunnah. This sickness include the following: intense fear, psychological and nervous diseases, insanity, depression, anxiety, tension, epilepsy, waswas means whispers from the shaitan, devil, personality disorders. Physical sickness, meaning physical sickness that human medicine is unable to treat and for which there is no medical cause. Hallucinations, stirring up hatred between people, causing enmity and division between people such as husband and wife, business partners, friends, family. 6. Female disease, infertility, heavy bleeding, and menstrual irregularities, infections. 7. Sexual problems, impotency, premature ejaculation. 8. Tampering with and causing damage to houses and material possessions, causing fires, throwing furniture about, throwing stones at the house. Details of that. Intense fear. There are two aspects to fear caused by the jinn, one which is correct and one which is incorrect. The correct aspect is to note that there are some jinn who can overpower humans and make them hear voices and see things and feel that someone is following them and make them scared inside their own homes. The way to deal with this is to recite the Quran, regularly recite the dhikr, al-adhkar, for morning and evening, and follow a special program for the sick person. The incorrect aspect is the great fear of the jinn that is deeply rooted in many people. There is nothing to justify such fear from an Islamic point of view. Hence, we will outline the reasons why people have developed such fear at the very mention of the jinn. Then we will be able to put our finger on the problem and find the remedy. Reasons why people are afraid of the jinn. First, and most among these reasons is ignorance of Tawheed. If knowledge of Tawheed is lacking in a place, there will be whispered ignorance. Mathy will be prevalent and the devils will take over. Charlatans will find fertile ground for their falsehood, and the devils will help them in that. So people will believe that the jinn are able to know the unseen, bring benefit and ward off harm, which are attributes that belong only to God. Hence great fear is created at the very mention of the jinn. 2. The spread of made-up stories. People are very fond of such stories and love to hear them, and they spread with amazing speed. These stories play a major role in stirring up this fear among women and children and weak-hearted men. 3. Witches also play a major role in spreading this fear and these stories and math. 4. Some cases of jinn possession which come about us, the result of people's negligence and failure to recite the dhikr prescribed in Sharia, which exposes them to the harm of the jinn and to the jinn possession. Treatment of irrational fear of the jinn. Tawheed. The call to Tawheed is the basis of all worship, reviving the rituals of Islam and learning that benefit and harm are in the hand of God alone. No created being, no matter who he is, had the power to cause harm or bring benefit to anyone else except by the will of God. The powers of benefit and harm are in the hand of only one. May he be glorified and exalted. God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قل لا أملك لنفسي ضرا ولا نفعا إلا ما شاء الله لكل أمة أجل إذا جاء أجلهم فلا يستأخرون ساعة ولا يستقدمون. Say, O Muhammad, I have no power over any harm or profit to myself except what God may will. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أتعبدون من دون الله ما لا يملك لكم ضرا ولا نفعا والله هو السميع العليم. Say, O Muhammad, to mankind, how do you worship besides God something which has no power either to harm or benefit you? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل من رب السماوات والأرض قل الله قل أفاتخذتم من دونه أولياء لا يملكون لأنفسهم نفعا ولا ضرا قل هل يستوي الأعمى والبصير أم هل تستوي الظلمات والنور أم جعلوا لله شركاء خلقوا كخلقه فتشابه الخلق عليهم قل الله خالق كل شيء وهو الواحد القهار. Say, have you then taken for worship awliya, protectors, other than him, such as have no power either for benefit or for harm to themselves? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب شغلتنا أموالنا وأهلنا فاستغفر لنا يقولون بألسنتهم ما ليس في قلوبهم قل فمن يملك لكم من الله شيئا إن أراد بكم ضرا أو أراد بكم نفعا بل كان الله بما تعملون خبيرا. Say, who then has any power at all to intervene on your behalf with God if he intends you hurt or intends you benefit? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن يمسسك الله بضر فلا كاشف له إلا هو وإن يمسسك بخير فهو على كل شيء قدير. And if God touches you with harm, none can remove it but he. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما بكم من نعمة فمن الله ثم إذا مسكم الضر فإليه تجأرون. And whatever of blessings and good things you have, it is from God. Then when harm touches you, unto him you cry aloud for help. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أتتخذوا من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. If the most gracious God intends me any harm, their intercession will be of no use for me whatsoever, nor can they save me. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لن يصيبنا إلا ما كتب الله لنا هو مولانا وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. Say nothing shall ever happen to us except what God has ordained for us. He is our Mawla. Mawla means Lord, Helper and Protector. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تدع من دون الله ما لا ينفعك ولا يضرك فإن فعلت فإنك إذا من الظالمين. And invoke not besides God any such that will neither profit you nor harm you. If a person believes in this pure teaching that harm and benefit are in the hand of God alone, and this belief becomes deeply rooted in his heart, then he will be freed of fear of jinn and humans and of all creatures. Hence the Quran calls us in many verses to fear God alone. God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إن ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه فلا تخافوهم وخافوني إن كنتم مؤمنين. It is only shaitan, devil, that suggests to you the fear of his awliya, supporters. Awliya means supporters and friends, polytheists, disbelievers in the oneness of God and in his messenger Muhammad. So fear them not, but fear me, if you are true believers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ألا تقاتلون قوما نكثوا أيمانهم وهموا بإخراج الرسول وهم بدأوكم أول مرة تخشونهم فالله أحق أن تخشوه إن كنتم مؤمنين. God has more right that you should fear him if you are believers. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوف بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون. And fulfill your obligations to my covenant with you so that I fulfill my obligations to your covenant with me and fear none but me. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال الله لا تتخذوا إلهين اثنين إنما هو إله واحد فإياي فارهبون. Verily he, God, is the only one ilah, God. Then fear me, God, that much and me alone. Meaning, be away from all kinds of sins and evil deeds that God has forbidden and do all that God has ordained and worship none but God. Him the scholars and fuqaha, may God have mercy on them, stated that fear of anything or anyone other than God is a kind of shirk, which is forbidden according to the Quran and Sunnah. When the Muslim says La ilaha illallah on a daily basis, in many ways he should realize the impact that this belief has on what he experiences of fear of created beings. The person who believes in Tawheed and is aware of the aims and outcome of Tawheed cannot fear anything except God, because when he says La ilaha illallah, he understands that there is no source of comfort, no one in whom he can put his trust, no one with whom he can seek refuge, no sovereign, no one to be obeyed or venerated, no one whose protection he can seek, no ruler, and no one who is rightfully worshipped except God. Any deviation from this belief is a kind of shirk, which is forbidden according to the Quran and Sunnah, even if he prays and fasts. A person does not truly believe in Tawheed unless he submits himself fully to God. Obdia and fears God alone and frees himself from fear of all created beings, whether they are jinn, human, or anything else. Understanding that the plot of the shaitan devil is feeble. God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. Ever flabby indeed is the plot of the shaitan devil, according to hadith whose authenticity is agreed upon, which was narrated from Abu Qatada. The Messenger of God Muhammad ﷺ said, الرؤيا الصالحة من الله تعالى والحلم من الشيطان فمن رأى شيئا يكرهه فليتفل عن شماله ثلاثا وليتعوذ من الشيطان فإنها لا تضره. Good dreams come from God, and bad dreams come from the shaitan devil. Whoever sees something that he dislikes, let him spit dryly to his left 3 times, and seek refuge with God from the shaitan devil. Then it will not harm him. Al-Tabari said, this hadith indicates that spitting dryly to the left 3 times is humiliating to the shaitan devil, because it is like spitting at something dirty when one sees it or remembers it, and there is nothing more dirty than the shaitan devil. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ commanded us to spit dryly when remembering the bad dream. The reason why the left is mentioned and not the right may be that the shaitan devil comes to the son of Adam from his direction to call him to hateful things. Al-Hakim At-Tirmizi said, because the spitting reaches the face of the shaitan devil and leaves marks like blisters when you spit, and also seek refuge with God. The devilish whispers that he brought are repelled like fire in his face, which is burned and develops marks like blisters. It was narrated from Al-Arabi ibn Huthaym that someone came to him and said to him, I saw in a dream as if someone was saying, tell Arabi that he is one of the people of hell. Arabi spat dryly to his left 3 times and said, I seek refuge with God from the accursed shaitan devil. The next night he saw that man in his dream, as if a man brought a dog and made it stand in front of him with a rope around its neck and blisters on its forehead. He said, this is the devil which showed you Arabi in your dream, and these blisters are the result of his spitting 3 times. the shaitan devil used to flee from Omar ibn al-Khattab shadow, and he was carried to meet him on the road. Omar did not take any path, but the shaitan devil would take a different path. It was narrated that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, a human went out and was met by a jinn, who said, "Will you rest still with me?" So he threw him to the ground. Then he said, "I see that you are small and you have 4 arms like those of a dog. Are all the jinn like you, or are you one of them?" He said, "Do you recite Ayat al-Kursi? For no one recites it when he enters his house, but the shaitan devil will depart from it, praying like a donkey." It was said to Ibn Mas'ud, "Was that man Omar?" He said, "Who else could it be but Omar?" It should be noted that the jinn are not all ugly and dark as they appear in the stories of possession and causing fear and harm. There are some jinn who are more righteous than humans, and some jinn have a glowing record of faith, piety, and calling others to God, as is mentioned at the beginning of Surah Al-Jinn, which speaks of a group of jinn who listened to the Quran being recited on the lips of the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ, and they went back and warned their people. God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل أوحي إلي أنه استمع نفر من الجن فقالوا إنا سمعنا قرآنا عجبا يهدي إلى الرشد فآمنا به ولن نشرك بربنا أحدا. Say, O Muhammad, it has been revealed to me that a group from 3 to 10 in number of jinn listened to this Quran. They said, "Verily, we have heard a wonderful recitation. This Quran, it guides to the right path, and we have believed therein, and we shall never join in worship anything with our Lord God." بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ صرفنا إليك نفرا من الجن يستمعون القرآن فلما حضروه قالوا انصتوا فلما قضي ولوا إلى قومهم منذرين. And remember when we sent towards you Muhammad ﷺ a group 3 to 10 persons of the jinn quietly listening to the Quran. When they stood in the presence thereof, they said, "Listen in silence." And when it was finished, they returned to their people as warners. Some of the jinn are righteous believers, and some call others to God, and some have knowledge of hadith. Shaykh al-Islam Taqi ad-Din Ibn Taymiyyah said in Al-Furqan al-Akbar, the jinn may come to one who is in a remote area, a king or a governor, and he may be a kafir who has got lost and become thirsty and is fearing death. So he comes to him in the form of a human being and gives him water to drink and calls him to Islam. So he becomes Muslim and he feeds him. And he says to him, "Who are you?" And he says, "So and so." He supported this with the story of something that happened to him, as he says. Something like this happened to me in the citadel. I was in citadel, and something like this happened to a Turkish prince from the east. That person said to him, "I am Ibn Taymiyyah," and that prince did not doubt that he was me. The king of Mardin was told about that, and that king of Mardin sent news of that to Egypt when I was imprisoned in the well. They were astonished because I had not exited the well. But this was a jinn who loved us, so he did a lot of things for the Turks that I used to do for them. When they came to Damascus, I said I used to call them to Islam, and if one of them uttered the shahadatain, we would feed him whatever we could. So he did the same to them as I used to do, intending to honor me thereby. Some people said to me, "Is it not possible that that could have been an angel?" I said no, because an angel cannot lie. But the jinn said, "I am Ibn Taymiyyah," when he knew that he was lying by saying that. The Muslim should understand that the jinn are inferior to and less honored than mankind, even if a jinn is one of the righteous. Sheikh Abu Bakr al-Jarazir said, "Even the righteous among the jinn are inferior to and less honored than mankind, because the Creator has stated that mankind is honored, as is proven by the verse in which God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وحملناهم في البر والبحر ورزقناهم من الطيبات وفضلناهم على كثير ممن خلقنا تفضيلا. And indeed we have honored the children of Adam, and we have carried them on land and sea, and have provided them with الطيبات. طيبات means lawful good things, and have preferred them above many of those whom we have created with a marked preferment. No such honor has been granted to the jinn, not in any of the divinely revealed scriptures or on the lips of any of God's messenger Muhammad ﷺ, thus it becomes clear that man is superior to the jinn. This is also indicated by the feelings of the jinn themselves and their sense of inferiority and weakness before man, and by the fact that if a human seeks refuge in them, they feel proud and superior, because that means that they are being venerated and respected when they don't in fact deserve that. So it increases them in sin and transgression, meaning in falsehood and kufr. God says, speaking of them, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وإنه كان رجال من الإنس يعوذون برجال من الجن فزادهم رهقا. And verily there were men among mankind who took shelter with the males among the jinn, but they jinn increased them mankind in sin and transgression. This is also borne out by the fact that if a human seeks their help or seeks help by the names of their leaders or swears by their leaders, they respond to him and meet his needs. All of that happens because they feel themselves to be weak and insignificant before the sons of Adam, who are honored by God, because Adam believed in God and worshipped him, affirming his oneness, Tawheed, and his lordship, worshipping him alone, and affirming his names and attributes, But if man doesn't have that faith, then the righteous jinn are better than the kuffar and mushrikeen among the sons of Adam and are superior to them. We must be very careful with regard to the transmission of stories. It is better not to speak of them, especially among the common folk, women and children, since these stories speak of a world that is hidden from us. The jinn tell many lies, and we cannot be certain that what a jinn says is true. So it is better not to spread these stories. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ forbade speaking about how the shaitan devil toys with man in his dreams. It was narrated that Jabir ibn Abdullah said, a Bedouin came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and said, O Messenger of God, in my dream I saw that my head was cut off and rolled away, and I started running after it. The Messenger of God Muhammad ﷺ said to the Bedouin, لا تحدث الناس بتلاعب الشيطان في منامك. Don't tell people about how the shaitan devil toys with you in your dreams. And he said, I heard the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ delivering a speech in which he said, لا يحدثن أحدكم بتلاعب الشيطان به في منامه. No one of you should speak of how the shaitan devil toys with him in his dreams. The Muslim should understand that God has appointed guardian angels for man to protect him. They take turns guarding him night and day, protecting him from the evil of the jinn and from the evil of everything that is hidden from him and may cause him harm. God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه من أمر الله إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم وإذا أراد الله بقوم سوءا فلا مرد له وما لهم من دونه من وال. For him, each person, there are angels in succession before and behind him. They guard him by the command of God. There are two scholarly opinions concerning this guarding. One is that God has appointed angels for each person to protect him against wild animals, vermin, and harmful things out of kindness towards him. The other is that they protect him against the evil of the jinn. Al-Dahak said, they protect him against the jinn unless something has been decreed for him. Ka'b said, were it not that God has appointed angels to protect you in your food, your drink, and your auras, the jinn would have caused a great deal of harm to you. And God says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وهو القاهر فوق عباده ويرسل عليكم حفظا حتى إذا جاء أحدكم الموت توفته رسلنا وهم لا يفرطون. And he sends guardians, angels guarding and writing all of one's good and bad deeds over you. It was said that there are angels by night and angels by day who record people's deeds and protect them from harm. And God says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ. There is no human being but has a protector over him or her, meaning angels in charge of each human being guarding him, writing his good and bad deeds. Abu Umama said, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, وكل بالمؤمن 160 ملكا يذوبون عنه ما لم يقدر عليه، ومن ذلك البصر 7 أملاك يذوبون عنه كما يذوب عن قصعة العسل الذباب، ولو وكل العبد إلا نفسه طرفة عين لاختطفه الشياطين. 160 angels have been appointed over the believer to protect him from that which has not been decreed for him, including his eyes, which are protected by 7 angels as a vessel of honey is protected from flies. If a person were left to his own devices for even an instant, the devils would cause him a great deal of harm. I praise God the Almighty for having helped me to complete this work, and I hope that God the Exalted will aspect it and make my intention purely for His sake, and that He will reward me for this work of mine on the day when I met Him, as He helped me to complete it in this life. By the grace of my Lord, this series has been well received by the slaves of God, and I hope that my Lord will expect it from me and be pleased with my work by His grace and kindness. May He forgive me and forgive all God's creations for any shortcomings that exist in it. And I hope that those who read this series will make dua, supplication for Maram Fatani, my mother, my dad, my future husband, and my relatives, and my family, and all Muslim people alive and dead, and all every God creations alive and dead, and pray that Allah forgive us for our mistakes and our sins. May God bestow His mercy upon me and them by virtue of a righteous dua from a righteous slave. And I'm trying to be Allah's successor in the earth, and I'm gonna put it in the net, so it will be like Sadaqah Jariyah, means God give good marks continuous to the people alive and dead people until the day of judgment. And the good marks goes to Maram Fatani, my father, my mother, my sisters, my brothers, my family, my future husband, and my relatives, and all Muslim alive and dead people, and all God creations alive and dead. Record voice Maram Fatani. Facebook name Maram Abdullah Fatani. The author Abdul Munzir Khalil ibn Ibrahim Amin. And finish. And I say goodbye. استودعكم الله الذي لا تضيع ودائعه.